A very popular oil leak is going to be this upper plastic timing case. Typically it's the gasket that's going to leak, but also this older style only has one bolt in the middle, and the engine after this has two bolts on either side. So there's really too much space in between this and its plastic, so over time the heat can warp this plastic, and even if you put a new gasket on this, it can still leak. So the easiest way to replace this gasket, or this timing case rather, is to just take out this right here, to take out this air intake chute. We're just gonna simply, see, someone's already broken this. I can feel already. So there's this broken plastic right here and on the other side. But typically you just push in like that and then pull it out. There's a couple plastic pieces in here. This is already broken, so let me just show you. Someone didn't push in this tab right, and they didn't push in this tab right. Typically you don't even really need to take this piece out, but this is broken right here, and this is broken right here, and that was not me, that was the previous owner. So not only that, but these two tabs right here can break, and then there's two tabs on the top that can break. Typically you just pop this out, toss it to the side. Now this little plastic connector can also break. A lot of times I will just take this off by hand, but a lot of times I preach that you want to take a right angle pick and put it in here and disengage the clip first, and then you can get in here and just slide it off. If this little piece right here is broken off, or this little piece right here is broken off, then it's not, you know, this can come off at some point while you're driving. If this comes off while you're driving, it can lay down here on the turbo and it can burn your connector off. So next we have, I already took this part loose, but next we have this intake hose, and after you take this 7mm off, you can usually just kind of wiggle this and pull it off, or I like to use this hose pick. You have to have this style hose pick right here. This can't really have too much of a sharp end right here. Actually, this is too sharp. I need to go in with my file and clean that up and make it a ball end. But you can put this in here and roll it around this hose. I'll do a short video on that maybe later. Then we have the actual air box here. It's ready to remove. This, let me just show you. This is a small thin piece of plastic right here, so usually it's good to maybe spray some kind of lubrication on this, and then you want to hold it right here and pull it up evenly. And then whenever you're putting this back in, you want to spray some lubrication on these, put some Sil Glide on it or something, and make sure that these are both located back in the holes properly. This is just like a little water. Oh look, there's like some ice in there, some crud in there. Maybe you might want to make sure that you get all the crud out of there so it can drain water, but it doesn't typically get water in there anyway. So then we could take this off and check our air filter, but that's not this video. Now, there's more room to get in here since this is gone. Now, if we wanted to, we could get even more room by taking these Torx out. You see there's one over here, it looks just like this one. These are kind of rusty, but that would only allow us to get this baffle out, and that's not really necessary. We can get the most room by taking our oil filter out next, and to do that, really all we need is a pair of Knipex pliers. But if you're in a shop environment, it would be the best kind of scenario to blow this loose garbage with air, to get some compressed air in here and clean it off. That way you don't get the cobwebs and the road grime and the stuff to fall inside here. And also when you bust this loose, it's nice to get some type of way to plug that hole. And this is the wrong way to use pliers. You see they're not gripping like this. You always want to use pliers like this. This is how they grip. And someone really cranked this filter in. So on a previous video I showed how I took one of these old oil filters apart and I made a special tool that screws back in this spot, and it covers this location right here. This actually has a locked up engine, so one of the things you can do if you suspect, like if you have an oil pressure issue or you suspect that there might be some damage to the engine, one of the fastest things you can do is just take the oil filter off, and you can look in here and you can look in here, but you can also just cut it open and look to see if there's any metal inside this paper. So the easiest thing to do if you don't have that special tool that I talked about with an old oil filter to screw it back in and make it flush is just take a a shop towel or something that's not going to have lint on it, and push it in there. This is not the best type of towel to put in there because little fuzzies can come off of it, but this one's already been previously washed. So I'm just going to set that right there to make sure that no junk falls in there. Now we can proceed to, we've got 5 bolts around here and 3 bolts around here. There's also one more. I might have to get you a better view. There's one more that holds this dipstick tube into place, but there's no dipstick on this one. We just have a little plug right here. So first off, sometimes it's a good idea to spray a little, I already did this in a short video, spray a little lubrication on this connector so you can disengage it and pull it off easily. And then take your pick and clean out these Torx like this, because there can be rust in here and there can be road grime in here. Now these are Torx on the inside, but they're also 10 millimeter on the outside, so it's going to be easier to get to the 10 millimeter on the outside than it will be. But if you strip out the inside, then you can still get to the outside. So you got 2 different choices here, so that's nice. So now we're going to get our power tool, because I love using power tools. Sorry. I already got this bottom one loose in a short video, but the power tool doesn't really fit in this spot or this spot, so we will have to let's try out our Hazette ratchet right now. Love this little thing, and it's a little bit fat for this application, so if you'll notice, that's why I love my little bit ratchets. This one's lower profile, so it's going to fit in there better, and I can put my thumb on the back side of it, get it real even, and then crack it loose. And if I want to, I can thumb wheel it out like this, or I have to hold the bit like this because it will just spin back and forth. That's so annoying. And then once I get to a certain spot, it's not even going to want to come out. So I could put another thumb wheel on the back side of this if I wanted. I've got one somewhere, but I'm just gonna pull it out like so. It's really low clearance. And it would also be good to have a magnet handy, because right now is an easy time to drop one or the other or both of these. So of course this one's going to be really easy to get to, and once I crack this one loose, you can call this a hack move if you want. I don't really care, but now I can kind of go in there crooked a little bit. It didn't skip at all. Did I mess up the Torx? No, it was already busted loose anyway, so if I stripped it out after that, then I could still get it loose. But tell me how irresponsible that is in the comments, please. Now we're going to go back to this pick that I was talking about earlier. And are you going to, if you're not replacing this gasket, a pick like this might be somewhat irresponsible. You could also go to something like this, which is like a prying tool. It's not a flat blade screwdriver. It has more of a tip on it for prying. And another thing is, before you go doing that, this is going to make it so much easier to get that loose. Just spray some stuff on it, and now it's going to want to separate so much easier. That lube will get in there as soon as you open it up a little bit. It just rolls around the edges, and then you want to go side to side and pop this thing off, being very careful to not bend this, because this can break right here, that little cheap plastic elbow. Put that in safe keepings. Now we're going to get to we have a Torx down here, T30 down here, and we're going to get to that with our electric ratchet. That's a really difficult one to get to. Let's see if I can get you the best view. So that bit fits perfect. Typically I would say it's a good idea to rotate your ratchet right here and break it loose first. Did you hear that? And then hit the button. Anytime you can do that, that's what you should do. And only in very rare situations would you be putting this power tool to something and breaking it loose with the button, especially like this. You see how it doesn't even fit? Now we're going to go to our 10 millimeter. And for that we have our 6-point medium well 10 millimeter, and this is going to fit pretty much all of them, I think. So we got enough room right here. This is loose. We're going to move it out of the side a little bit and see how that fits absolutely perfect right here. And that's not even, so I didn't bust that loose right. Now, if you have like a 6-point actual bolt or whatever, yeah, you can hit the trigger to bust it loose, but because you're really only gonna strip stuff out the easiest if you got like a Torx or a Hex or something. So, but still, always just crack it loose by hand first, and then hit the button. And then we got this one right here. Now we do have this wire right here, and I usually just put my finger down there and pull it off. And then these are the hardest down here, these 10mm down here. But with this long neck ratchet, we can just stick this down in here, and there's the rest of the two. This will snake around here to the side. See, bust it loose like that. I don't really suggest, you know, going crooked on it. You have to break it loose first though, and then if you have to go a little bit crooked, it works. I mean, but you have to have some skill to be doing that. Now this one isn't wanting to fit too well. It's not quite long enough. Let's try our Harbor Freight ratchet. Now this has a little bit of a different neck design. It's actually kind of slimmer and longer, and we can put this one in here and it will actually fit better. And now all we can do is just pop it straight off. This one's not all the way out, and also this one's not all the way out. So I put my fingers in here, do a little this action right here, and then still not all the way out. There we go. Now we can replace this whole case. That's what I suggest. Just replace this whole case. It comes with gaskets. It comes with this gasket and this gasket.